For the digital-first enterprise, application performance and end-user experience have expanded from IT operations concerns to top priorities for the health of the business. This, along with increasingly complex, multi-cloud application environments, have given rise to a new generation of powerful application performance monitoring and management solutions, with functionalities that provide enterprise app visibility and insights across departments, from development to line of business. But which of these APM solutions is right for you? In this session, Gartner APM analyst and research director Federico Da Silva and AppDynamics' Director of Technology Strategy, John Rakowski, expand on the most recent Gartner Magic Quadrant for Application Performance Monitoring Suites report, which assesses and ranks the top players in the current APM market. So, we'll welcome in our first speaker, Federico Da Silva from Gartner.
Thank you. The market for application performance monitoring tools, or APM, is showing several key trends. First is the increasing demand from organizations in order to support digital business initiatives as they embark on a journey of digital business transformation. There's also the need by the end users to monitor their IT systems in a more holistic way and away from the traditional silo way. There's also the expanding use cases beyond the traditional IT operations and more on the business side. And finally, it's around vendor consolidation and also new entrants into the market. Let's begin by defining what APM tools and the suites are and what they do, more importantly, through the lens of the three different dimensions that we define for the purposes of the 2016 Gartner Magic Quadrant for APM tools. The first one is around digital experience monitoring, or DEM. And this supports the optimization of the experience and the behavior of a digital agent, which may be human or increasingly a machine, as this agent interacts with the enterprise applications and the services. Remember, this is all about the user experience. And to support this, technologies such as real user monitoring and synthetic transaction monitoring are used for both web and mobile-based users. There's also the application discovery, tracing, and diagnostics, ADTD. These are a set of processes that are designed to understand the relationships between the application servers, for example. They map the transactions across these nodes and also enable the deep inspection of resources, technical resources. The focus here is around problem resolution and remediation that are interlinked across these different nodes. Finally, the application analytics. This enables the automated detection of the source or the root cause of a problem or anomaly of the transactions, and for the purpose of the Magic Quadrant, for two key technology platforms, Java and .NET, through machine learning, statistical inference, and other statistical methods. The horizontal nature of many of the monitoring tools makes them ideal for various use cases. And we see that increasingly they're being adopted by organizations and teams that are outside of the IT department. APM tools historically have been in the domain of IT operations teams, who are concerned primarily with managing and having visibility into an increasingly dynamic and heterogeneous IT environment. We estimate that approximately 2/3 of buyers of APM tools are IT ops teams. However, we're also observing that this is diversifying. The number of buying centers is diversifying. For example, application owners and line of business users can utilize APM tools, particularly the analytics capability, to spot trends in a new marketing campaign, for example, or as an organization is launching a product. We are also observing what we call the shift left, which is the adoption of APM much earlier in the application lifecycle by teams like developers, testing, and DevOps. And in fact, with the rise of DevOps teams across organizations, we see APM playing a much more important role and critical role in complementing the DevOps tool chain. The demand factors and the expanding use cases in buying center is translating into continued healthy growth of the APM market. Here we see the evolution of the market through 2020, as seen in the worldwide end user spending of nearly $6 billion by the end of the decade. One of the key implications, although not the only one, of this strong market performance is the expanding opportunity not only for incumbent players, but also for new entrants who may explore niche market opportunities or may compete with a different business model approach. Through our research for the Magic Quadrant process, we uncovered several interesting market drivers as well as some inhibitors that continue to be of concern to organizations. Why are organizations interested in APM tools? First and foremost is to increase and create operational efficiencies of APM users as well as monitoring teams in general. And it's also about the end user experience, the customer satisfaction, and improving the business outcomes. We're also seeing the shift left, the adoption of APM tools by DevOps and developer teams. And also, we see the growth in SaaS-based offerings. And we estimate that by the end of the decade, about 1/3 of the revenue from this market is going to come from SaaS-based tools. Now, at the same time, there are also some key factors that are causing organizations to be hesitant when considering APM tools. Number one, it's high cost and the pricing complexity. Customers complain that they have a hard time comparing different offerings. And of course, they are high to begin with. Then there's also the issue of tool complexity. And related to that, to deployment and the usability of these tools that have many different modules, and in some cases, they're outdated technologies. And last but not least, organizations say that they need to be able to make a business case, and they don't see a clear ROI when deploying APM tools. Because of the expanding needs for organizations for monitoring tools, again, this is very much driven by digital business initiatives and the whole transformation of digital business. We see that the role of APM tools, and by extension of the market players themselves, is also expanding. Whereas historically speaking, APM tools, I guess by definition, were focused on applications and the transactions, we see a clear trend that is moving in two opposite directions of the technology stack. One is up the stack and focusing on the end user. And really, this is what the business cares about. The second one is down the technology stack. In other words, it is expanding the visibility and the monitoring of the underlying infrastructure that is supporting the technology, the software tools, and ultimately the end user experience. In analytics, one of the dimensions of the APM tool suite, this cuts across all of the segments. Although we continue to see that most of the tools still rely primarily on what we call diagnostics and descriptive capabilities for the time being, and not so much on prescriptive and predictive capabilities. Such expansion of vendor and tool capabilities is causing the market to overlap in some cases, increasing competition among vendors and correspondingly some confusion among the buyers, as they see a variety of tools that can do similar things. As the walls between the IT organizations continue to fall through initiatives such as DevOps or digital business, for example, so will the need of buyers for tools that can not only monitor and integrate across the various adjacent segments, but also through the analytics capabilities, which we see as a key to binding all the different tool segments together. Now, we track here at Gartner in excess of 100 monitoring vendors in the market, and surely there are many more out there. The Magic Quadrant helps our clients understand who are the main providers and how they're positioned relative to each other. The vendors are evaluated along two sets of criteria. One is their market vision and their ability to execute on that vision, which leads to the 4 quadrants. Vendors, generally speaking, move along the quadrant in an S pattern, starting as niche players. When they are small, they compete in the market through innovative and visionary strategies, then gaining market acceptance as their offerings mature, and finally, moving into the leaders quadrant with strong market execution and continued thought leadership. what are the key inclusion and exclusion criteria? First, on the product side, they must meet the 3 dimensions of APM. Focus on digital experience monitoring, the application discovery, tracing, and diagnostics, as well as providing application analytics. On the business side, in order to qualify, the providers must be among the top 12 vendors in the APM suite market in terms of end user spending. And they also must have a presence in multiple geographies where Gartner clients reside. And here is the 2016 APM Magic Quadrant. What are the key points? First is market consolidation and tightening between vendors' capabilities, which is reflected in the positioning in the quadrant. And you can see the difference between 2015 and 2016. One, there are less vendors, and two, the distance between them is actually tightening. Another key point is that the leaders are fighting a very intense battle. And while features and functionalities or speeds and fees are still very important, actually solving specific use cases, especially in much more integrated fashion, is becoming critically important to user organizations. The leaders are there because they have a strong product portfolio that is based on platforms that are modular in nature, and they also have expanding worldwide capabilities. Challengers are not standing still, however, and we continue to see a refocus by some of them, especially around SaaS capabilities and product integration. And finally, niche and visionary vendors keep the markets very dynamic and also attracts new vendors. However, they may not have enough traction. To be sure, some of these players are very large providers, but this is not their main focus. Here are some practical recommendations as you're evaluating APM providers. First, shift your focus away from monitoring just the IT infrastructure and metrics and focus much more on the business metrics. Also, assess your business needs for monitoring and how your APM capabilities can support those business initiatives. Define your business monitoring strategy in tight coordination with your business stakeholders. Make sure that you deliver monitoring visibility and capabilities across the application lifecycle and not just in production environments. And finally, make sure you identify the gaps and opportunities in order to rationalize your current IT monitoring architecture. Thank you.
Next, we will hear from AppDynamics' Director of Technology Strategy, John Rakowski.
Okay, well, thank you, Federico, for those great insights and that overview of the Gartner Magic Quadrant for Application Performance Monitoring Suites. So my name's John Rakowski. I'm Director of Technology Strategy here at AppDynamics, the application intelligence company. And I've been at AppDynamics for coming up to 2.5 years. Actually, in a past career, I was an analyst focusing on the area of application performance monitoring also. So I had the unique privilege of seeing how monitoring solutions have changed from being of tactical need in the enterprise to being of strategic need for every enterprise and every industry today. So in this presentation, I'm going to cover 3 main areas. We're going to have a look at the state of the enterprise and application performance monitoring. Then we're going to go into a little bit more detail about what makes AppDynamics special, having a look at our AppIQ platform. And finally, I'll summarize some of the key points at the end. So, within the enterprise today, it can be said that every enterprise is a software company. Within every enterprise, applications are key to business success. Applications are key to every interaction with customers and also key to employee productivity internally. And actually what's happened in the last decade is that applications have become simpler to consume from the front end. We can talk about mobile. We can talk about emerging areas such as voice recognition. But conversely, at the back end, application complexity is exploding. And this is because of a number of reasons. Firstly, applications are becoming more distributed. They're being split over multiple different environments, and many enterprises today have a multi-cloud strategy. Monolithic applications are being broken down into microservices-based architectures, and supporting workloads are now using container-based technologies. Now, what this means is that applications involve multiple moving parts. And for application performance, it means that more application performance problems can arise from a variety of different locations. There's also more dependencies. Applications today don't act in their own vacuum. They interact with other applications, with other third-party systems and services. With the services which you provide externally, say for example for an e-commerce application, you may be interfacing with third-party payment services. So there really has been an explosion of the use of application programmable interfaces, APIs, and the performance of APIs becomes phenomenally important in today's digital enterprise. And then thirdly, if every enterprise is a software company now, if applications are central to success, then you have to stay ahead of your competition, making sure that you can release new application features quicker, faster than your competitors, and also with the right level of quality that your users expect. And this is why we've seen the phenomenal uptake, especially at AppDynamics, with our enterprise customers, of DevOps. People are trying to release faster now and also maintain quality. But here's the catch. What we find, and this is why from my experience, one of the number one areas when it comes to application performance problems come from release and change processes. It's the old question of what's changed. So with faster release cycles comes an even more or increasing need for application performance management solutions. And that's why today, application performance management has moved from being of tactical need to of strategic need in the enterprise. And what does this mean for APM specifically in the enterprise? Well, there's a number of areas which I want to talk to you about. And these are in relation to what you should be looking at if you are considering any enterprise APM solution today. Firstly, you need to understand that production is the most important environment for you. At the end of the day, it is performance in production of your applications in production which is key to driving user or customer experience and also business success. You want to be alerted to emerging problems with production applications, and you want to resolve those problems very, very quickly. So production is the most important environment. Now, I'm not saying that other environments are not that important. So pre-production is important, test environments are important, but the reality is it is production which makes or breaks a great application. 2. Speed of installation and adoption is critical. What you want from any enterprise APM solution is that you want to get value very, very quickly. You want to be able to monitor your complex applications very quickly and start getting value. Now, with many legacy monitoring solutions out there or old kind of approaches to monitoring, what you would find is that it would take a long time to instrument applications to start getting value. Well, in today's digital world, in today's digital enterprise, you can't wait for this to happen. Your solution which you choose must be able to automatically instrument even the most complex applications. Also as well, the deployment footprint should meet your needs. You should be able to have a choice of deploying it on premises or from a SaaS scenario or deploying it into any cloud which you so choose. And then from a user perspective or usage perspective, the user interface should be intuitive. It should be easy for different teams to display the information which they require in dashboards. And these dashboards should be very easy to create. So the console should be intuitive and the solution should be easy to use. And then thirdly, business context and focus in regards to monitoring. Now, with every application today, especially the more complex applications, you're going to be looking at and monitoring a variety of technical KPIs. All of these KPIs or metrics are important, but what's really important is the way that application is driving business value. That's what's key. So any solution which you choose must be able to monitor, every technical metric, but must be able to do this in context of the business value that application is driving. That's what's really key. So what makes AppDynamics special, and what features and capabilities of AppDynamics have made us successful today? Well, firstly, it's our focus on unified monitoring. Right from the outset, our earliest versions of the product, our earliest roadmaps, we focused on unified monitoring. monitoring all the way from the end user's experience through to the application, down to the code, and through to the back-end database. And this is through one UI. So you're not looking at separate consoles. And this is important because in today's modern applications, they're highly distributed. And what you want is one single pane of glass to understand application performance very, very quickly. Number 2, our instant application mapping. Within our AppIQ platform, we've got a number of performance engines. And it's these performance engines which make AppDynamics unique. And the first performance engine is MapIQ. And what MapIQ does is that it creates dynamic visual architecture representations of your application, no matter how complex. And it does this fairly instantly. And this means you're able to see the back-end architecture as your application is architected. So you're able to see the various nodes, tiers, back-end databases, message queues, and even calls made to third-party systems and services. So it's easy to stay on top of any service level agreements which you might have. Now, on top of this, MapIQ does something which is very unique, and it's our patented approach to monitoring. And this is the discovery of business transactions. So a business transaction is those transactions which are key to end user experience and also key to driving business outcomes. And MapIQ collects these transactions together into our patented atomic unit of measurement, which is a business transaction. So to give you an example, if you take an e-commerce application, these are transactions like checkout, like login, like add to basket. All of these transactions are the ones which are really driving value for your application. And what this means is that any one of your support teams or anyone in your business can have a look at the AppDynamics console, can see these business transactions, and not only understand the health of the application from a technical perspective, but understand the health of the application from a business perspective. It is, as one customer recently said to me, it's like switching the lights on in regards to your application and how it drives business value. It's one single source of truth. Next, it's our approach with dynamic baselines. So the next performance engine is Baseline IQ. And what Baseline IQ does is that it dynamically baselines every single application metric and business transaction in your application and gives it a score. And it's these scores which are used to drive our health rules and policies. So what this means is that you can be sure that every alert generated by AppDynamics or AppIQ platform needs to be acted on and is business relevant. It removes some of the problems of legacy or point monitoring solutions, which generate false positive alerts and alert storms because they're focusing on static thresholds. Again, within AppDynamics, we use dynamic baselines, which means that we're able to detect emerging performance problems and alert your teams before they become a big issue. It's also our use of intelligent diagnostics. This takes me on to the next performance engine, which is Diagnostic IQ. Because AppDynamics monitors every single application transaction. But when there's an emerging performance issue, Diagnostic IQ starts to take very detailed snapshots about what was happening in regards to that application at that specific moment in time. It records the business transaction. It provides detail in regards to the procedures, functions being called, and even provides detail down to the line of code. And this is also that you can resolve issues very, very quickly. Now, because we're a unified monitoring platform, it means that while we will show you where the problem is occurring, that it's a database issue, we'll go one step further than that. We'll even tell you what query is being executed and what query is causing that issue. So this lets you resolve emerging application performance problems within minutes. And finally, it's our focus on business performance monitoring. Last year, we released our Business IQ performance engine. And Business IQ lets you easily correlate and analyze user engagement with application performance and business outcomes, such as revenue, which means you can easily create visual dashboards that show the health of your application from a business perspective. It means that for every release, you can be sure that not only is the application performing from a technical perspective, that each release is driving the value which you plan for. So in summary, the AppIQ platform is about unified monitoring. We monitor application performance, end user experience, and infrastructure visibility from one platform, one UI. We're focused on production. We've got low overhead in a production environment. And what makes our platform really special and unique is our 6 performance engines, which I just went through some of them. So just to recap, what makes us special is MapIQ, the ability to create dynamic visual architecture representations of complex applications in real time. We also discover business transactions. This is our patented atomic unit of measurement. So we enable you to start focusing on monitoring from a business perspective. Baseline IQ, which dynamically baselines every single metric and business transaction in your application in order that alerts can be business relevant and always need to be acted upon. Diagnostic IQ, which enables us to provide detailed information on performance degradation as and when your support teams need it. Provides a line of code or even the SQL query which is causing or is the root cause of a performance issue. And finally, Business IQ, which lets you elevate monitoring within your organization, which lets you analyze seamlessly end user experience with application performance and business outcomes in order to drive further improvements in your application and to ensure that every release is driving the value that you desire from your application. So just to kind of recap in terms of top differentiators for AppDynamics versus the competition. Firstly, it's our end-to-end business transaction tracing in production. So we discover those transactions which are important to your application, this notion of business transactions. So immediately your teams understand and are focusing on the business value of applications. Automated dynamic baseline creation, which means that we use dynamic baselining to ensure that every alert is business relevant and needs to be acted upon. Code level diagnostics, while we monitor every single application transaction, we provide the level of detail when your support teams need it, when there's an emerging performance issue. And of course, real-time business health alerting. We enable you to not only monitor the technical aspects of an application, but also the business aspects of your application. We enable you to alert when engagement starts to drop, when there's a drop in revenue in regards to the way the application is driving revenue. We can alert based on that. And we give you deployment choice. You can deploy AppDynamics from a SaaS solution perspective, or you can deploy it on premises or any cloud which you choose. And we're suited to enterprise environments. In fact, at AppDynamics, we thrive in complexity. We've got high scalability. Some of our customers today are monitoring and have deployed upwards of 15,000 AppDynamics agents. And with that, I hope that gives you an overview of how we approach APM and AppDynamics and some of the special characteristics of our AppIQ platform. Thank you.
This concludes our program today, so I'd like to thank both Federico da Silva from Gartner and John Rakowski from AppDynamics. For more information on the AppDynamics AppIQ platform, please visit appdynamics.com. A quick programming note. Gartner is an impartial independent analyst of the information technology industry. All content provided by other enterprises is expressly the views of those enterprises and the speakers. The information should not be construed as a Gartner endorsement of said enterprise's products or services.